Until you hate me, I'm gonna show you. Hi guys! What's really crazy? You should have known better. Oh, Kimber. Kimber, hi. This is our little Chihuahua pit bull mix rescue. Her name's Kimber. She's got a wonky little chicken wing we gotta take off. Kimber, who's a good girl? A Chihuahua pit bull mix would be called like a Cheeble, or would it be a Peachy? She's a Peachy. A Peachy. Where's a pink belly? Oh, that's a good girl. Look at this. She's gonna be a full-grown pitty at this size. She's like micro pocket pitty. How cute is she? You're a good girl. I love you. You're a good puppy. Raisin, you're being really inappropriate during this vlog. Good girl. Just a good pig. What do we want to talk about today? Let's talk about how we make decisions on animals' health. Quality of life, quantity of life is a topic that we will talk about soon. But today, let's talk about how we decide when to amputate an animal's leg. 1, 2, 3, I don't need this leg on me. All right, so let's talk about this little amputation thing that we do. Cut it off like that. So as a lot of you guys know, and some of you don't know, now you're going to know, we run a major medical animal rescue, which means that we do a lot of leg amputations throughout the year on different animals in need. Out of breath. I think it actually paused for a second. So how we make that decision is literally on a case-by-case basis. No two animals are the same. Even two animals born with the exact same looking birth defect, they're not the same. So there isn't a written rule of thumb, I guess, to go on to say everyone born with this birth defect is a candidate for your leg amputation. It's just not the way it works. Ultimately, the first thing that we take into consideration is the animal's health. Is the animal healthy enough to go through surgery under anesthesia? If the animal is healthy enough to go under anesthesia, the second factor that we take into consideration is if we remove the limb or limbs, what does their recovery look like? What does the animal's build look like? What breed are they? If you remove both the back legs or one of the front legs, how is their body structure and their weight disbursement on their body going to affect them long term? So if they're healthy enough for anesthesia, then their body shape, build, size, age is conducive to doing the surgery. The third thing we look at, which is always an individual factor as well, is personality. Not every animal is honestly mentally a great candidate for a double leg amputation or even one leg amputation. Not every animal is a candidate for a wheelchair. You have to look at their nature. So if an animal is incredibly timid, shy, skittish, fearful, that sort of thing, and you can barely get a broom around them, without them jumping out of their skin, it's scary to think that you would put thousands of dollars into this animal's surgery and then months into their recovery, rehabilitation, and then get them a wheelchair and then have them be like morbidly afraid of the wheelchair. And you just went in this giant circle and the dog is still down and out and you don't have an avenue to get them better and get them up on all fours. That's where quality of life comes into consideration as well. Another factor is if, the dog is just happy-go-lucky and driven, and when they come to us and they're pushing past all these limitations that they obviously have, that's a great candidate personality-wise. They're going to roll with the punches. They're going to overcome and adapt with change that we're going to inflict on their body, build, structure, size, etc. But if a dog comes to us and they're down and out and they're just miserable and their quality of life is awful, you know, disfiguring their body any further and forcing them to do something because we can isn't always the right decision. I would venture to say that the majority of the time, the animals that come to us in need of amputation or double amputation are great candidates. We have had very few that are not good candidates. We've had animal aggressive animals that are still great candidates. They just have two legs and can't live with other animals. Or we've had incontinent animals that can't hold their bowels and bladder. They're still great candidates. They're happy, they love everybody, they just have needed to find a family that is okay with diapering them. And they've been successful at finding that family because their personality shines through. We've had dogs that have an abnormal limb or abnormal limbs, and they're still, perfect candidates because they either pick those limbs up and drag them around and carry them around, or they drag them. And so by just removing and eliminating that extra burden on that animal, they thrive. They do excellent. So, most of the time, the animals that need single or double amputation are excellent quality candidates for that. Again, if you have a 15-year-old lab that comes in and needs a leg amputation, is that really the right thing to do? You're at the end of life, putting them through all that, arthritis. I mean, it's horrible to think that we have to make those no decisions sometimes. That's the hardest thing to do, is put all these things that we look at on a platter and weigh it out, which decision to make. And it's playing, a hand. It's just playing this role of power that's, a lot of times not a role that I want to be standing in, especially the public following, because, we've all seen, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. I'm judged either way, no matter what. So, I actually received death threats for removing our dog Duncan's rear limbs, and here he is almost 3 years later, thriving, happy. So, I don't know. Again, I can never make everybody happy, and my goal isn't to make anybody happy, quite frankly. My goal is to save a life if I can save a life. And that is essentially, in a nutshell, a little tiny nutshell, how we come about deciding who is a great candidate for amputation and what we'll do with that. Hopefully that helps some of the other rescuers out there.